Big Rab Show Podcast is kindly sponsored by G1 Reeds. They are the champion's choice, with many bands around the world playing G1 products, providing everything you'd need to hit the circle or the big stage. So, check out g1reeds.com as they keep the lights on here at the Big Rab Show Podcast.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another Big Rab Show podcast. How are you, folks? Hope you're all keeping well out there in podcast land. And yeah, you might have guessed by the title of this week's episode, we're about to catch up with Trevor Clydesdale. Now, for a lot of folks out there who are into their pipe band history, that might be a name that's very familiar. And you're going to hear more of our chat later on in the show. But before we get into that, let's get through our introductions then, shall we? If this is your first ever Big Rab Show podcast, you are welcome. We are the show for the bagpiping folk. We reflect everything in the bagpiping world, be it Celtic music, folk music, or indeed our bread and butter, which is competitive piping and drumming. Each and every week, we are here talking about what we know and love to be the music of the Great Highland Bagpipe and its people. And yeah, like every other podcast out there, we do have a Patreon. And can I say that our Patreon faithful are awesome?
The Patreon faithful are awesome.
Yes, they are. Because this last while, they have been treated to all sorts of additional extras. Now, we're talking our Fly on the Wall documentary that we're filming each month and is being released exclusively to Patreon members. And episode 2 from March dropped there a few weeks ago. And everyone seems to be loving that at the moment. Seeing behind the scenes of what makes the show tick. Yeah, we started it out as a bit of crack to see if it would work. And yeah, you guys seem to love it over there on Patreon, so we will keep her lit. And also, our new feature, the Postscript. Yeah, we have the Postscript launched just last week, and episode 1 of that was out on Patreon last week, and it was great as well. Yeah, so we have the Postscript, we have the documentary, we have Big Rab Show Plus, we have our weekly Fuse FM Ballymoney radio show. There's a wealth of stuff over there. All right, again, just a shout out to our Patreon faithful. Anyone who decides to click on that button of support really does mean the world to us here on the Rab Show. There's a link in your show notes right now. You can click on that and get your mitts on all of those extras. And you will immediately be awesome for clicking on that button. All right. Patreon is plugged. Now, with each and every Big Rab Show, we do open the door to listener mail. And this week is no different. Yes. Our email address has never changed from the start of the show, which is bigrabshow@gmail.com. That address again, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Right. We got a few interesting questions this week. Now, the interesting questions we received were all following our Fuse FM Ballymoney radio show last night, where we talked about something that we haven't mentioned on the podcast just yet. Now, if you've no idea what I'm talking about, well, let's get into it. Now, but the people who asked the questions want to remain anonymous, so I'm not going to read out your names. But people have been asking, Rab, you're now, 482 in the podcast? This episode here is 483. So people are asking, episode 500's around the corner, mate. What are you going to be doing? Well, you come on. You know it's us. And we normally celebrate these big milestones. Does anybody remember episode 100? Yes, of course. Episode 200, 300, 400. They were all massive events. And we might have something up our sleeves for episode 500. Yes, we might have something up our sleeves, but we're not ready to announce it just yet. So, to answer all your questions about episode 500, yes, we know it's fast approaching, and we also know when it will happen. We've got some quite special plans for episode 500. That's all I'm going to say. All right, for now. But if you are following the show, or even if you're not, please make sure that you are, because in the next few weeks, we will have quite a special announcement about episode 500 that you're definitely going to want to pay attention to. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, not even our Patreon faithful have been privy to this. We've been working behind the scenes to make something All right, I'm not gonna say any more because I will let the cat out of the bag. I'm famous for doing that. Right, just to let you know, there is something in the works. We have something further down the line for episode 500. We are aware of the numbers. All right, there you go. So hopefully that answers your questions about episode 500. Yeah. Also, we did get a lot of questions and stuff following last week's episode of the Big Rab Show Pod. You might have heard it. A lot of quite strong opinions as well about volunteers. And if anything, we seem to kind of light the fire under some people. Some people were saying, you know what, Rab, what you said actually made sense. And a lot of people reached out to us here on the Big Rab Show and volunteered their time. Now, this is fantastic. And to those of you who have done, a massive thank you. Because, yeah, this season is already quite packed. And with our existing team that is in place, we're going to be quite stretched to do what we can. Because, well, we're all competitors, you know? We're all going to be in the circle trying to lift silverware, as well as trying to cover every aspect of the scene, which I'm sure you'll know will be pretty much impossible. So a good number of you reached out to us here on the Big Rab Show and have thrown their hat in the ring. Now, not just locally here in the UK, but also internationally, but quite a few from the New Zealand, Australian scene, a few from the Canadian, and a few American as well. So brilliant. All the better. We'd love to have as many volunteers as possible covering our international bagpiping scene and bringing all of that action to our audience. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go back, have a listen to last week's episode on our topic where we talked about volunteers and how they make the bagpiping world actually function. Now, also, I'm aware of a number of people who were wanting to volunteer their time with their local branches. And, yeah, again, not just locally here in the UK, but we have put people in contact with their own local branch. And, yeah, there's been a number of people that actually want to help out. Some people who are retired and no longer playing, but do still want to be a part of the scene and perhaps help out with stewarding or, you know, helping out on the day, helping things run. So, anyway, after last week's episode, to see that it had been so well received and, yeah, a number of people have stepped up and volunteered. Fantastic. Thank you to everyone. So there was some who were naysayers, as we did get into it a little bit when we were talking about those who attend competitions and do receive a fee and all that kind of stuff. We get into it in last week's episode. We don't need to go again. But that we did talk about it. It is there. Some people did email us to notice that we kind of tap danced on the landmine for a little while. And we did. So go back and have a listen to it if you've no idea what I'm talking about. That's a good one. But yeah, thanks everyone for your commentary. Yeah. And also we're still getting emails in about the Kids with Cancer Night podcast that we've done. And some people love it. Some people, again, not happy with the duration of it. But hey, it is what it is. It's up there. We made the editorial choice to include as much music as we could to reflect the full evening. So I guess it's not for everyone. There you go. All right, so that's pretty much it for listener mail. As always, you can send us in your own listener mail, bigrabshow@gmail.com, and we'll bring your questions and queries to a future show. There you go. All right, this is now the point in the show where we let JD grab a microphone and read out your weekly drones. Now, if you don't know what weekly drone is, you can go to our website. There's a big button at the top of the page that says weekly drone, and you can type out your thoughts, feelings, stories, complaints, all of it. You can let us have it, warts and all, completely anonymous. There's no names, there's no identifying factors. And if we believe, if anything, this happened this week, actually. Yeah, we did get a weekly drone that had an identifying factor. We were able to pick out the band that they were from, okay? So we decided we're not going to broadcast that. We're not handing it to JD because we want to keep weekly drone anonymous, okay? That's all I'm going to say. So, yeah, weekly drone, if there is identifying factors, we'll remove them and we'll not broadcast it. The whole point on weekly drone is that it's anonymous. It's an open microphone to the bagpiping world. So you can let us know your stories, of course. Go to our website, thebigrabshow.com, that big button. All right, JD, I believe we've got a few on the shelf for this week. So let us have the first one then, can we?
The Weekly Drone.
Kids for Cancer podcast. Some people need to give their heads a wobble. Imagine complaining about piping and drumming on a piping and drumming show. I enjoyed every moment, Thank you for bringing the night to us all.
Now, come on, I didn't plan that. That was genuine. I had no idea that was in there. Because the title on the email said Wobble. JD sent it to me and the title said Wobble. I could have been about anything. So yeah, give your head a wobble. Complaining about piping on a piping and drumming podcast. That's a fair assumption. Yeah, there was those out there that loved the pod. All right? Loved the Kids with Cancer Night. And that entire podcast, loved it. They said, yeah, brilliant. Fantastic. But there was those out there that said, come on, Rab, seriously? It was over 2 hours long. I don't have that long to dedicate to a podcast, which is fair. Now, I'm going to throw my hands up here and say, yes, whenever I seen how long the podcast was, then, I did have second thoughts. I thought, well, I cut some of this stuff out. And I thought, no, if I want to hear the music, I'm sure the folks out there too would like to hear it as well, especially those that couldn't be there. You know, for a lot of you listening internationally, you would have had to have caught like 2 or 3 airplanes and a hotel and stuff to get here to actually hear Police Scotland Fife and the RUC and other bands in action. Well, then this was the only way to experience it kind of firsthand. So I made the choice. I kept the music in and I pleased some people and other people not so much. But thank you, Weekly Droner. I'll take your feedback. Appreciate that. All right, JD, let's have another one, mate.
It's the Weekly Drone. Lack of bands at Australian Championships. Hi, Rab. Regarding the lack of bands at the Aussie Nationals, Australia is big. Really big. And it unfortunately comes down to cost. It's cheaper for bands to go to New Zealand than it is for East Coast bands to get to Perth. Flights alone are often double the price of what it costs to get to New Zealand. Off the back of the New Zealand champs, McLean, and the other competitions happening, bands and people simply can't afford or justify the cost to get themselves and their instrument there.
Weekly Droner, that's a fair point. And I believe that is the reason why we've seen significant drop in numbers for our Aussie Championships. Australian Nationals were, of course, this past weekend. We mentioned it in last week's show, how we were ramping up towards it. And yeah, that entries for this competition were down. We did question. We were wondering why this was the case. And that's the answer I'm hearing. Yeah, that simply it was down to logistics and affordability. Now, I don't think this will be a problem that is unique to Australia. I think this could well be a problem for a lot of our bands, even here in the UK. Yeah, now I'm sure for those of you who have been watching the news, here on the island of Ireland, we have been experiencing all sorts of protests to do with the cost of fuel. Now, we're not going to get into the whole politics of all of that, but as you're aware, the price of fuel has leapt and is quite expensive to run a vehicle. And, you know, the likes of public transport and things like that, it's all getting more difficult. Things are costing more and people just don't have the finance and are now having to be more kind of picky and a little bit more choosy with where they travel. And perhaps jumping on a coach and sending a pipe band thousands of miles across the country to compete at a pipe band event to play a 3.5 minute MSR might not make a lot of sense. So I get it. I understand it. You know, like when you take into consideration travel, hotel, all of that stuff costs a serious amount of money. So bands, as I'm aware, have been furiously fundraising over the course of the winter. Yeah, there's been a serious amount of concerts and stuff. We'll talk more about that in the news and updates, but we're smack bang in the middle of concert season right now. And the amount of bands that are fundraising and stuff is kind of make your head spin. We've been doing our best to keep up with it, of course, on Rab Show, but you can tell that bands are doing this out of necessity. If they want to be competitive and they want to turn up at these events, well, they're going to need the finance to make it happen. And yeah, that's what's happened here in Australia. I don't think this will be the last example of this incoming season. There will be others. There'll be bands out there that just simply can't afford to travel. And I guess we'll wait and see. As the draws come in for our future competitions, then we'll see where the numbers are. Yeah. So mark my words, this is not the only casualty whenever it comes to finances and bands being picky and choosy where they compete. I reckon there will be other competitions that'll have exactly the same problems. Anyway, we'll talk about that as it happens. It's a sign of the times, folks. The economy is what the economy is. Let's fly on. JD, give me another weekly drone, mate.
The weekly drone.
Band shout out. Just want to give a shout out to the Lion City Pipe Band from Singapore, who are competing in Grade 4A at this year's Australian Pipe Band Championships in Perth, Western Australia. Thank you for flying the Singapore and Southeast Asian flags high as the only international pipe band taking part in this year's Aussies. Wishing you all the best. Hope to see you guys soar to even greater heights.
Yes, shout out to the Lion City. Now, it's not often we get shout outs on Weekly Drone, so that's quite a positive one there. I was worried if it was going to be more economy talk. You know, we're not a politics podcast by any means. We're a piping pod. So anyway, but yes, shout out to the Lion City Pipe Band. Looking at the master sheet here, I actually have it in front of me. Lion City, Grade 4A, they actually finished second overall. Well done. And by the looks of it, I think they also lifted the drumming as well. Brilliant in the MSR and the medley selection. So well done, Lion City. That deserves a round of applause right there. Go on, the Lion City. Woo! Fantastic. Yeah. So we will go through the results and stuff, of course, from the Australian Nationals in more detail. We have a lot to unpack there. But yeah, it's nice to get a shout out on Weekly Drone. Something positive. Shout out to Lion City. And I have yet to see the performance, however. I will go back and have a watch at the Grade 4 competition. I did spend a bit of time and watched most of Grade 3 and Grade 2. Of course, there was only the one band in there, but I did manage to miss the Grade 4A competition. And, well, I caught a couple of performances from 4B. I think Scots College. I think I can watch them. But anyway, there you go. We'll get into all of the results and stuff, of course, in the news and updates. But yeah, shout out to Lion City. If you do want to send in your own particular shout outs, of course, you can do. Head to our website, thebigrabshow.com, and that big red button at the top of the page that says Weekly Drone. Click on that, and yeah, your voice or your story can be on next week's show. There you go. Right. So I think I've tap danced on some landmines already, talking about affordability and the cost of living and all of that jazz. It will have an impact on pipe bands. I'm still thinking about that Weekly Drone. Yikes. That will be a consideration this season, no doubt. Right. Move on, Rab. Weekly Drone's now behind you. Time to move forward, I guess. Time to move on. And it's time for me to get into all the news and updates. But before I do, I'm going to take myself a wee break. And I'll be right back after this. Ever wish you had a piping teacher on call 24/7? Well, now you do. Introducing the Interactive Player, a game-changing new practice tool at Dojo University. Play along with world champion pipers while the notes on your sheet music light up in time. Loop tricky phrases, slow down tough sections, zoom in to focus, and build speed automatically. It's like having a teacher right in your practice room, showing you how to master every tune at your own pace. So, sign up for a free trial today at pipersdojo.com and start learning smarter with Dojo U's Interactive Player.
Ready to take your playing to the next level? Say hello to the ES Session Chanter, the ultimate practice chanter designed for versatility and durability. Crafted from stainless steel and aluminium, the chanter comes equipped for both an A stem and a B flat stem, giving you the freedom to play along with any instrument, anytime, anywhere. Whether at a band practice or a trad session, the ES Session Chanter keeps pace with your creativity. Included with the chanter is the custom carbon carry case, the perfect addition to this compact and tactile instrument. To get yours, head to essessionchanter.co.uk.
Okay, let's start with the Australian Nationals. Now, we've already mentioned them earlier. We give a shout out to the Lion City, didn't we? Go on, the Lion City! But let's get through the rest of the grades. Now, all of this competition, by the way, was live streamed online. You can go and watch the entire thing. And as I've said before, there are certain grades that I've missed, so I am going to go back and actually rewatch it all. It is available up there on YouTube, so thanks to Pipe Bands Australia for making that available for us internationally. And yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. Yeah. All right, let's kick off with our results, starting with Novice Juvenile B. In first place was Scots College Melbourne, pipe band number 2. There you are. Now, I'm finding this throughout all of the Australian championships. There's band number 1, number 2, there's a lot of numbering going on. So, yeah, if I do happen to mention Scots College, I will be very specific. So here they are. Novice Juvenile B, the winners, Scots College Melbourne, pipe band number 2. There you are. So, yeah, congratulations. In second place were the Scots College Pipes and Drums, number 2. There you are. In third was the Presbyterian Ladies College Perth Pipe Band. In third place, yep, so that's pretty much a home game for them. Yeah. And in fourth place then were Brisbane Boys College Pipe Band, number 2. There you are, and that's Novice B. Moving on to Novice A then, the winners on the day were Scots College Pipes and Drums, number 1. There you are. In second place were Scots College Melbourne Pipe Band number 1. Yep. In third was Brisbane Boys College. There you are, number 1 again. And in fourth place was Haileybury Pipes and Drums number 1. There you go. So that's your juvenile grades. Moving on to grade 4B then. Winner on the day was Scots College Melbourne Pipe Band number 2. Yes. And see what I mean about the numbering? There you go. And in second place were the Scots College Pipes and Drums number 2. Yes, apparently there is a difference between the Scotch College and the Scots. Okay, I know I was confused when I was reading this as well, but they are completely different bands. There you go. And in third place, we have the Presbyterian Ladies College Perth Pipe Band. There you are in 4B, and that was them in third. In fourth place then was the Coastal Scottish Pipe Band, WA, grade 4 band. There you are. And moving on to grade 4A, are you suitably confused yet? Don't worry, all the numbering and stuff kind of slows down the higher up the grades you get. Moving on to grade 4A then, winners on the day were the City of Melbourne, pipe band number 2. Yes, shout out to City of Melbourne. There you are, congratulations. And in second place, as we read earlier, was the Lion City Band. Brilliant. And in third place was Perth Highland Pipe Band. And that was grade 4A, only the 3 bands in there. Moving on to grade 3 then, in first place, winners were Perth Metro, pipe band number 1. There you are. Shout out to Perth Metro. In second place were the Scots College Pipes and Drums number 1. Yes, shout out to you guys. In third place was the Brisbane Boys College Pipe Band number 1. And yeah, and in fourth place we had Scots College Melbourne Pipe Band number 1. There you are. That's your fourth place finisher. So yeah, 6 bands in total there in grade 3. And from what I've been told, it's quite a big competition in there with very high standards. So yeah, I'm going to have to go back and watch it again, to be honest. So yeah, whenever I did watch it, it was like the wee hours. So I'm going to go back and watch that. Yeah, but yes, the champion in grade 2, the highest graded band on the day, the winners, because there was no other band playing against them, were Western Australian Police Pipe Band, or as they're affectionately known, WAPOL. Yeah, so I've seen that performance, of course, and definitely worth a watch. Of course, their medley performance as well was absolutely stellar. So go and check it out. Western Australia Police Pipe Band. Yeah, Australian champions. Not bad. So I say full details of all your results and all of that. I didn't read them all. They are up there now on their website. You can go down and download the full thing, including all of your solo stuff. And I believe there's also some drum majoring action as well at this. So there you are. You can go and download the full thing, all your placings, all of that. It's all available now on Pipe Bands Australia. So there you go. Well done to everyone who was competing there. And if you aren't or weren't competing at this one, well, I'm hopeful that we'll see numbers increase for next year's Australian Nationals. I believe plans are already in place for next year's. And yeah, we'll be keeping across those details as they happen. Yeah. So that's it for another year. Australian Nationals are finished. And congratulations to all of our champions. Okay, now last week we did talk about the Scottish Pipers Association solo competition that was coming up. Well, let's get through the results then, shall we? Of course, this past weekend in sunny Glasgow, and yeah, it really did pull in the cream of the crop in this one. So Yeah, we have to give a huge mention to Ben Duncan, who managed to pick up the Premier A-grade Pibroch competition. Well done, Ben. But then, yeah, everything else was pretty much dominated by Cameron May, who really dominated the former winners, MMSSRR. Yes, 2 of each. Yeah, so he picked up the former winners, MSR, or double sets, of course. Well done, Cameron. And he also picked up the 2-4 March competition and the Strasbourg and Reel. Not a bad weekend's work there for Cameron. So, again, full listings of all of the winners from this competition is all available now online. You can go to pipesdrums.com, actually. They have a full rundown of who won what and what did they play, all of that stuff. So, yeah, you can go and read all of that at your leisure. But just congratulations to Cameron, who just lifted prizes all over the place. What a weekend worth of work. Well done, Cameron. And, of course, to Ben as well, lifted the Premier grade there and Pibroch competition. Well done, Ben. Okay, now, we've already mentioned this before, but you guys know we are smack bang in the thick of it in concert season right now. And I have to give a big mention to Ravara Pipe Band. Now, we mentioned them, of course, in previous Rab shows. We were talking about their concert coming up, and man, did it not disappoint. Yeah, absolutely incredible. Just, I can't really oversell it enough. The performances that we received from Ravara were just incredible. I know I use that word a lot, but seriously, the music that we got from Ravara Pipe Band from their concert was something else. Now, I guess 2 incredible moments from this concert were unveiled by the Ravara Band. They played 2 of their competitive medleys that we will hopefully hear in the circle this year. Yes, number 1 and number 2 medleys were performed on the night. And if you are anyways curious, you can go and check out Craig Rogers on YouTube. Yes, he has a wealth of videos from this concert, and every performance was captured in beautiful 4K. So if you aren't subscribed to Craig Rogers, well, you should be. And there's a wealth of great music from the Ravara concert up there. But yeah, their medley selections, whoo, man. Anyway, I'm not going to start waxing lyrical about why it was amazing. Go and check it out for yourself. But yeah, shout out to Ravara, who really thumped out a big tune this past weekend on concert. And yeah, those 2 medley performances, they were something special. So, in light of that, I also have to talk about a concert that I was at myself. I was compere on the evening for Drumlock Pipe Band. Yes, they held a huge variety fundraiser, and again, did not disappoint. The music from Drumlock Pipe Band was something special. And if anything, one of the kind of standout moments for me from the variety concert was the tribute drum salute that was performed by Drumlock Drum Corps. That was something else. Again, videos of that do exist online. You can go and check all of those out. And yeah, enjoy, I guess. But yeah, another one of the standout moments, of course, one of the acts on the night were St. Joseph's Pipe Band. And they treated the audience again to another unveiling of a competitive medley. Now, St. Joseph's Pipe Band took to the stage, and like the audience were almost in a stunned silence. They sounded so good. Do you know one of those moments where a band strikes in, and instead of claps and cheers, the audience just goes, they take a big gasp as if to say, whoa, I've just been hit with a wall of sound. That's what happened when St. Joseph's performed at the Drumlock concert this past weekend. So if you are anyways curious as to what this new medley sounds like, well, thankfully ourselves in the Big Rab Show, we managed to sneak a little recording. Yes, I know I was compere on the evening, so I shouldn't really have been recording stuff. But yeah, I managed to sneak out my camera and grab a little clip. So here they are. Here is St. Joseph's Pipe Band and a little clip of their brand new competitive medley for the 2026 season. and the rest of the medley progresses from there. I'm not going to play the full thing on this week's pod, but if you do want to go and check it out, that full performance is up there now on the Big Rab Show YouTube channel. You can go back and listen to the rest of it. Yeah, it's quite a good set. And yeah, shout out to St. Joseph's, who were absolutely on song this past weekend, and to Drumlock Pipe Band as well for hosting the event. It was just a stellar evening. Congratulations to everybody involved there. Just a great night. And yeah, the concert season it's here, folks, and I'm here for it as well. So yeah, because this weekend we've got all sorts of great piping action. Of course, my own band. I know this sounds like a shameless plug, but yeah, Tullylagan Pipe Band are hosting our own concert that we do every year in the Burnavon Theatre in Cookstown. Now, there's a wealth of other great acts that'll be hitting the stage, not just Tullylagan, but we have our Grade 2 band there. We'll have my band, the Grade 4B guys. We'll also have a Learners hitting the stage as well. And we're also going to have a wealth of other acts on stage. So this night's going to be absolutely packed with all sorts of bagpipe and goodness. I know the band has been working furiously hard for it, and tickets for it are actually flying out the door. So at the point of you listening to my voice right now, if you are planning on going to the Tullylagan gig this Saturday, well, yeah, go and grab your tickets for it, because as far as I'm aware, they're very close to selling out. Yeah, so that's on the 18th in the Burnavon Theatre in Cookstown, Tullylagan in concert. Yeah, also happening on the 18th, for those of you who are not on this side of the Irish Sea and might be across the water in Scotland, well, the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland are heading the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall. Yeah, again, Saturday 18th, tickets are still available. You can go and grab them. And now, again, I've been pronouncing this title of this show incorrectly, apparently. It has been very famously... Stuff the Rab got wrong. Yeah, I have been pronouncing the title of this show Duchas, but apparently that's completely wrong. The correct pronunciation is supposed to be Dukas. All right? Right, come on, I'm not doing it on purpose, but apparently, now, I have consulted with a mate of mine who does speak fluent Scots Gaelic, and I asked him, how do you pronounce this name? And he says, that's Dukas. I said, okay, I've been pronouncing it completely wrong for weeks, so my apologies. But yes, the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland will be hitting the stage this weekend in the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall. So yeah, they'll be having 3 different ensembles hit the stage. They have the junior band, the development band, and the senior band hitting the stage. Yeah. So, folks, this is another huge concert, and it happens every year. And yeah, the National Youth Pipe Band of Scotland are a previous Big Rab Show Award winner for Live Act of the Year, so we know that they can thump out a tune. So, if you do want to attend that, or maybe the concert in Cookstown, tickets are available. Go and grab them, folks. Concert season. I love it. Now, not only is concert season in full flow right now, but solo season is about to kick off the doors. Yep. Completely off the hinges, because this weekend sees 2 drumming championships that are vitally important. Yeah, then the 17th of April, the UK Solo Drumming Championships opens the doors at Cookstown High School. The draw for which is now available. You can go to rspbani.org, and yeah, all your details for your UK solos are up there. Now, I don't need to tell you again why this one is particularly important. Of course, top 6 finishers get that pre-Worlds qualification spot. It's incredibly important for that if you are wanting to compete at the Worlds. So there you are. A lot of drumming action to be had on the 17th. But then, of course, the following day on the 18th is the Ulster Solos. Now, what we can see here is the draw that's available for the UKs. A lot of the names that are listed there, they're deciding to hang around. They're not just heading home as soon as they finish their solo competition on the Friday. Yeah, they're hanging around Cookstown for a night and then competing the following day in the Ulsters, because the entry for the Ulster Solo Piping and Drumming Championships, I think this is kind of at record levels. I haven't seen this many entrants for the Ulsters before. Incredible. Now there's that word again. But yeah, this weekend's Ulster Solo Championships in Cookstown High School, the same venue as the UK, so it's quite handy, all in one place. Yeah, I can't wait for the Ulsters. It's going to be such a good competition because of the sheer amount of people involved. And I am absolutely beside myself. I can't wait for it. Yeah, I've been talking to so many people who have not been involved in solo piping and drumming in a long time, and they said, do you know what? I'll give it a go. Well, to everyone who's decided to give it a go, best of luck to all of you. You honestly are way braver than I ever am. Well, that's a lie. I did compete at solos twice. I think I'd done it twice on snare and never again. I'm not a solo player. I just did not have the bravery for it. But yeah, to all of you solo musicians out there, have a good tune. If you are competing this weekend at the UKs or the Ulsters, yeah, best wishes, best of luck. Yeah, now speaking of draws for competitions, we are getting close to some of our contests here in Northern Ireland. You might have heard last week's conversation with Andrew Graham as we were going through all of the season. Well, a couple of draws has just recently been published. The first band indoor competition that took place on the 25th of April in Drumore, the draw for which has been published. You can go and have a read at that. That's quite interesting. Yeah, the amount of bands that are going to be treading the boards indoors in Drumore, it's going to be interesting, that one. Anyway, we'll talk more about it as we get closer to it, but that's next week. So we'll probably unpack it a bit more next week's show. But the draw's available now. Also, there's a draw available for the Mid-Ulster Piping Quartets competition, which is being held in Cookstown Primary School. Again, quite a wealth of a draw of a competition here. Now, quartets I don't think it has happened very often in the Northern Ireland calendar. So this is an interesting one. And yeah, to anyone that wants to compete in a quartet, yikes, that's a lot of pressure right there as well. Never mind competing as a soloist, but I do believe a quartet that's another level of difficulty, that, isn't it? Anyway, the draw for that is available now for the Mid-Ulster Quartets. You can go and check that out. Now, we are still waiting for the draw and everything for our outdoor competition season. Those haven't happened yet, but we are waiting on that information. But all of it is available now on the rspbani.org /competitions. Go and have a look at that. Okay, seeing how we're talking about competitions and draws and all that kind of stuff, I'm just going to throw this one into the mix. The closing date for the British Championships was today. Yeah, 12 noon UK time, which is definitely long past now, the point of me recording this. But yeah, today was the closing date for entries for the British. So the door is now closed. And yeah, we now wait to see who will be hitting the grass for the British Championships. That's exciting. And no doubt we will be getting into all of that with our full British Championship preview. We'll go through the draw in detail, who's entered and who we're excited to see, etc. It's exciting. It's getting close, folks. The start of the season's just around the corner. But yeah, there's your entries now closed for the British. So if you were hoping to compete and you didn't get your paperwork in, well, we did warn you many times. Anyway, I'm going to briefly mention about New York City Tartan Week. Yeah, there has been so much bagpiping action all across New York City over this past week. And to the amount of bands, pipers, drummers, even to Celtic and folk music acts that have been all across New York City, this has been amazing. Seeing bagpiping showcased in such a way in New York City. And do you know what I'm finding? Is that the audiences at these gigs that went to see all of this were absolutely up for the crack, as they would say here in Northern Ireland. Yes, absolutely. The crowds were laughing, jumping, cheering, singing along. I even seen some people crowd surfing at some gigs. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I have to give a shout out to the Rolling Drones, to Whiskey Kiss, and a plethora of others. So many other different bands were involved in this as well. Come on, there's too many to mention. But for anyone who's curious, you can go and look on social media. A lot of bands did publish updates from the event. And so, yeah, just go and check that out. Just type it into the search engine, New York City Tartan Day or Tartan Week. Yeah, there's tons of celebrations there for sure. So there you go. Go and check that out. Loads of great piping action in New York City. Okay, keeping things stateside, I have to talk about the Las Vegas Highland Games, which are this weekend. As much as we're having all sorts of action here in Northern Ireland and that locally, yeah, looking internationally, there's going to be a serious amount of piping in Las Vegas. I have to give a shout out to Wasatch and District and the Plough Boys. Yeah, they're a band. Yeah, they're apparently going to be throwing a huge ceilidh to launch festivities this weekend at Craig Ranch Park. Yeah, so if you are anyways curious for all of the details of what's happening, the Las Vegas Highland Games this weekend, go and check them out. The Las Vegas Celtic Society, they've been uploading all sorts of different clips and stuff. And details of what to expect at this weekend's Highland Games. Yeah, so I don't know. Looking at the lineup for this, it just looks like so much fun. The Las Vegas Games has been one that's been kind of on my radar now for a long time. And of course, the lads there at Chanterran have been championing this event now for ages. So yeah, it's been one that's definitely been on my bucket list, the Vegas Games. I don't know, like just imagine thumping out bagpiping and drumming in Las Vegas. Come on, it doesn't get much cooler than that. So yeah, good luck to everyone who is going to be competing this weekend. But yeah, shout out to the Wasatch and District Pipe Band. They're going to be launching things with a special Ceilidh night and everything ahead of the competition the following day on the Saturday. So I do believe it rolls through Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, loads of piping action to be at this weekend in Las Vegas. Best of luck to everyone. And again, if you are looking for ticket information, the entries, all that sort of stuff, what kind of entertainment, drinks packages, there's so much information here. You can go along to the Las Vegas Celtic Society on their socials, and they've been, providing updates all throughout the week. But yeah, good luck everyone this weekend in Las Vegas. Oh, can I ask if anyone's going to the Vegas Games? Yeah, do try and snap a little video of a band for us. Yeah, that'd be great to see some of that piping action from Vegas. So yeah, send it across to us, bigrabshow@gmail.com. Of course, in between pints whenever you're having fun. Okay, I do also have to mention another little piping festival that's a little bit in the future. It's not happening right now, but Piping Live, yes. Piping Live, of course, rolling up this August. They've been gradually drip-feeding out a lot of the announcements to do with the festival. Tickets for this are actually available right now. You can go and get day tickets or a week-long festival pass. And whenever you look at the lineup for Piping Live, already, this event is shaping up to be one of the biggest Piping Lives to date. Whew, yikes. Now, the recent announcement that just dropped were the lunchtime recitals. Now, these are incredibly popular, and they're held in the auditorium at the National Piping Centre each lunchtime from 12:30 to 1:30, so you get an hour worth of absolute bagpiping bliss. Now, the lineup for their lunchtime recitals this year, I can't tell you just how cool this is. So, kicking things off on the Monday, the first lunchtime recital at Piping Live is Bruce Gandy. Wow. Now, an opportunity just to sit and listen and bathe in the goodness that is Bruce Gandy's playing. And I'm sure throughout the journey of that hour, he'll be walking us through his sets and even some possible hints and tips, because Bruce is always about tuition, you know. He's always about helping other bagpipers out there. And I know myself, even, in my bagpiping journey, I've learned a lot from Bruce. So there you go. That's Bruce on the Monday for the lunchtime recital. And the second one then on the Tuesday, the following day, on the 11th, is Finn Moore. Now, for those of you who don't know who Finn is, he's not particularly a prolific Highland bagpiper, but he is definitely well known in the bellows world, and for lowland pipers in particular. So if you are anyways curious, that's definitely going to be one to check out. Yeah, some amazing music to come from Finn Moore. That's on the Tuesday. On the Wednesday, then, we have quite a well-known figure, especially in Pembroke circles. We have Murray Henderson. Yes, so I have absolutely no doubt that we are going to get some absolute Pembroke gold from Murray Henderson, quite a giant in the Pembroke world, and I'm very much looking forward to that. If anything, I'm going to try my best to get to that one. Yeah. So Murray Henderson, the lunchtime recital on the Wednesday at Piping Live. Then on the Thursday, we have Shawnee McIntyre. Now, for those of you who don't know, Shawnee, definitely a prolific bagpiper in the Celtic and folk music scene, and is quite well known, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Shawnee's going to bring to the stage. I dare say a wealth of great music from the Celtic and folk scene, but also from the traditional world as well, and a great blend of music from both Irish, Scottish, and further afield. I'm very much looking forward to hearing this. So that's on the Thursday, lunchtime recital, Shawnee McIntyre. So for full details of all of that, you can go to bagpipe.news. They've published a full story, including all the announcement, all of that stuff, including there's links there as well to get your tickets for Piping Live. My recommendation, folks, now I know I've said this before, but the festival pass, the full festival pass is probably the most cost effective. All right. So go along, secure your festival pass. And then for those other ticketed events, like the Masters and stuff like that, they are ticketed. So I think Pipe Idol Final might be ticketed as well. There are others, but the full details on all of that stuff is available on pipeandlive.co.uk, all of your ticketing information. But my recommendation is to get the festival pass. All right? If you're heading to Pipe and Live at all and you do not want to get encumbered at the door, well, get yourself a festival pass and you just whistle on through. It's brilliant. There you go. So go and get your festival pass and, enjoy Pipe and Live. Now, let's talk about the rest of the lineup so far, right? Now, this is only what's been announced so far. Now, at the center stage at the National Piping Centre, some of the headliners are kind of ridiculous. This year, they're really knocking it out of the park. Yeah. Kicking things off, well, in no particular order, I guess. We have the Ailey Sutherland Band with Gary Innes and Ewan Henderson. I'm not sure if Gary and Ewan are actually playing together, but I hope so. Yeah, so Gary Innes and Ewan Henderson. We also have Frass as well. If you haven't heard them, oh my word, what an incredible band. Now, we also have the trio of Callum Stewart. Now, I know Callum quite well, but I'm not aware of the trio, so I'm quite curious there, so I'll be checking that out. Also, we have Sophie Stevenson and Luke McNally. Wow, yeah, and another band that is a giant in the Celtic and folk scene, Dave, are also going to be making an appearance. One of my favourite bands, actually. Yeah, a lot of their sessions and stuff that they've recorded, just brilliant. Anyway, I'm going to start talking about Dave, but they're available. Yes, all of these are all included in your festival pass. All those centre stage acts I just mentioned, that's included in your festival pass. So anyway, full information, including your headliners and what all has been announced so far for Pipe and Live, go along to the website, pipeandlive.co.uk, and all of your details are up there. Now, from memory, this could be stuff that Rab got wrong.
Stuff that Rab got wrong.
But I believe that the festival pass for last year's Pipe and Live sold out. Yeah, they ran out of festival passes and they were limited. So that's my advice. Go and grab them before they all disappear. Yeah. Now, also, speaking of grabbing tickets before they disappear, True North Strong and the 70th Fraser Highlanders, tickets for this concert are fast disappearing. And if anything, after me mentioning it last week, that ticket sales have been slower than usual, well, they have definitely picked up. I don't know what's going on, but everyone seemed to be listening to last week's pod, and they've all raced to the box office because tickets for this are now racing out the door. So, yeah, if you haven't secured your tickets yet for the Pre-Worlds concert, go grab them now, because I can almost guarantee it that this event will sell out for sure. Yeah, so True North Strong, 70th Fraser Highlanders, and the Pre-Worlds concert. Go grab tickets for it. Avoid disappointment. It's going to be one of the highlights of Pipe and Live Week. I know it's not part of the festival, but it's definitely a huge event as part of that. The whole entire gather up that whole week. Yeah, so go grab tickets, avoid disappointment, and I'll see you all there for True North Strong. Okay, so from all of this positive news about announcements and things all happening, and it is all happening, I need to give a brief mention for an announcement that came from the Munster branch of the Irish Pipe Band Association. Yeah, just yesterday, at the point of me recording this, they put out a statement saying, unfortunately, they're not in a position to hold the Munster Solos or the South of Ireland competitions this year. Yikes. Now, no idea what caused this decision. No idea, but it's a bitter pill to swallow for folks there in the Munster branch, for sure. Now, I do remember reporting on this solo competition before, and it was quite the event. So, yeah, this is really quite bad news for all of us, I guess. So I am hopeful that they'll be able to build back stronger, bigger and better for next year, and that the Munster Solos will return again. And yeah, looking forward to seeing how that develops in future and hoping that they will be able to open the doors next year. So for anyone who was hoping to compete at that event, well, the event is not happening. The Munster Solos and the South of Ireland competition is not happening at the Munster branch of the IPBA. Yeah, that's rough. Okay, so from some quite poor news, I guess, which was bitter, let's get into some positive news. Now, last week we mentioned about Scottish Power uploading little video clips of what they've been up to, and they unveiled the introduction of their new competitive medley. Now, that had the internet all abuzz. Everyone was like, oh my word, that sounds amazing. And yes, it did. And as soon as the intro tune finished and it broke into the strathspey, Then they faded it out and then left everybody disappointed because we couldn't hear any more. Oh, Scottish Power, you are the masters of the tease. Just as things were getting into the flow. Yeah, that's it. Pull the plug. You're going to have to wait for the rest of the season. Well, Scottish Power are back in the headlines again because they uploaded a video which was really interesting. They played Lord Alexander Kennedy. Right? Now, yeah, that's interesting in itself, okay? We always love to hear that tune being played by some of our grade one big guns, and Scottish Power, one of the best, absolutely. But the video was interesting for a whole new reason. Now, for those of you who are into your tech and your gadgets and all of that, I'm sure you've probably heard of the Meta Ray-Ban glasses that have the built-in cameras and stuff. Yeah, I'm sure you've probably seen these. You know, the Ray-Ban sunglasses, but they're not sunglasses, they're glasses. And then they have cameras built into the arms of them. Well, Chris Armstrong had a pair of these. They're pipe major. So he slapped them on and counted the band in. Right, quick march, Lord Alexander. What? So we got to see the point of view of the pipe major. It was so interesting for so many reasons. You could see where Chris was looking. You know, he's at one point, he very quickly and sharply turned his head to the right to look at a piper at his right-hand side. So I don't know what happened there. Was there a slip or something? Don't know. I know I wouldn't want to be in the receiving end of a death glare from Chris Armstrong. But it's a very fascinating video. You know, the pipe major's view and how the lead tipper, the bass man, everyone is glued on what Chris is doing. So where does Chris look? You know? Where does he look for support? Who's he supposed to follow when everyone's following him? It's a very interesting perspective. Go and have a watch at the video. It's up there now on their Facebook page, all across their socials, actually. So shout out to Scottish Power. Such a fascinating video. And do you know what I'm interested to see? I'm looking to see more point of view footage like this. I don't know anyone else out there that has a pair of these Meta glasses, but if you can pluck up the courage to wear them into the circle, that would be amazing because we would love to see the footage. Wow. Anyway, so go and check that out. That's from Scottish Power, the pipe major point of view video. Absolutely fascinating. Yeah. And the playing itself, of course. Come on, Lord Alexander Kennedy. What a tune. I love that tune anyway, at the best of times. But yeah, Scottish Power's treatment of it, absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Now, speaking of good tunes, I have to give a big mention this week, of course, the good mate of the show, Ross Miller. Now, Ross is... yeah, he's been cooking up something special, brand new music, and he will be releasing a brand new track on the 1st of May. So shout out to Ross Miller fans who have been waiting for new stuff. I believe this one is called Will Paddy Not Dance? I think it's a set of jigs and everything. So very curious to see what that sounds like. So yeah, shout out to Ross Miller. Releasing brand new music on the 1st of May. Go and check out. There's little clips and stuff, not the full thing, but there's little sneaky peeks as to what Ross has been up to. You can go and check that out on his socials, where he is thumping through about 10 seconds, 20 seconds of the track. Definitely worth a listen. There you are. Shout out to Ross Miller. Brand new music. Exciting new release on the 1st of May. There you are. Okay, folks, I think that's pretty much it for all the news and updates at this point. Yeah, we're going to draw a line on it at this point. But I just wanted to remind you as well, but I guess this isn't news, I suppose. But yeah, ourselves and the Big Rab Show, we have started selling merchandise back in January. And the sales for our Rab Show merch is absolutely going gangbusters. So much so, it's been such a huge support for us here in the show. So thank you to everyone who has bought Rab Show merch. By the way, you're all legends. Thank you. We did offer initially free shipping on all of our stuff. So no matter what you ordered, no matter how big and how small, free shipping applied to every order. And I did tell you that this was going to be temporary and that we will be removing that offer and that we will start charging for shipping. So yeah, it's been decided that we're going to continue with the free shipping for a few weeks. All right, so I'm just going to put that out on this week's show. It's not really news, but I'm just giving you a heads up. Yeah, free shipping will not last forever, but you can now go and take advantage of it. Go to thebigrabshow.com and then follow the links through our shop and get yourself some Rab Show swag before that shipping charge gets added on, so you can save yourself a bit of dough. There you go. So yeah, get yourself some sweet Rab Show merch. There's been a bunch of people buying the hats And the hoodies. The hoodies are very popular. Yeah, so go and check that out. Real good quality stuff, actually. So yeah, so go and check it out. bigrabshow.com and the big shop icon at the top of the page. Here you are. All right, that sounded like a shameless plug. It probably was, but it's a little bit of news there. There you go. Right, time to fly on. Time to get into this week's topic of the week, I guess. So I reckon it's time for me to get a big cup of tea. It's time for the topic of the week.
Kingdom Thistle Pipe Band Supplies for all your pipe band and marching band needs. Supplying everything from uniforms and instruments to custom designed bass drum heads. They offer it all. Not forgetting their exclusive Kingdom Ghillie Brogues and George Boots, crafted by bands for bands. Kingdom Thistle provides expert product advice and an industry-leading drum refurbishment service to keep your equipment in top-class condition. Also, shipping worldwide. So, stop by their store in Fife or visit them online at kingdomthistle.com for all your pipe band and marching needs.
Marchify, the brand new home of Flam 5 drumming. Check out their brand new Strike bagpipe case, inspired by their colourful, popular and reliable Flam 5 drum cases. The Strike bagpipe case combines durability, style and practicality, protecting every movement. Shop now at marchify.co.uk with worldwide shipping available. Marchify, every movement protected.
Hello, this is Fred Morrison, and you're listening to the Big Rab Show.
Right, time for topic of the week, and you might have guessed by the title of this week's episode who we're going to be talking to, Mr. Trevor Clydesdale. Now, I'm not quite sure how I should introduce Trevor. He's been a mate of the show now for a long time. If anything, he's been on our show before. For the listeners of our Fuse FM Ballymoney radio show, you're going to know exactly who Trevor is. We spoke to him at length about all of his work in the pipe band world and, of course, his musical tastes. If anyone remembers that show, it was a cracker. So, let's not waste any further time. This is a fascinating conversation all about pipe band history, and there's no better man to talk to. So, let's get into this week's topic of the week. Now, Trevor, do I introduce you as a pipe band historian at this point? Am I right in saying that?
Probably on a very amateur level, yeah. But it always has been an interest, and it's something that I like to share the knowledge out there as well. So,
yeah, but you've gathered quite a bit of stuff over the years, and if anything, I've been really enjoying delving through all of it. Yeah. So, can we talk about where you first started with all of this, looking at pipe band history? Where did you begin?
I think I was actually thinking about it myself. I think it all actually goes back to primary school days.
Right.
I just remember when we were at what they probably called drawing or colouring in, whatever they called it back in those days. I don't think they called it art. My head mistress, she would have said to me, "Look, I'll go and get you some history books. You can sit and read those, and everybody else is colouring in their drawings." So
I see.
I think that's where the history sort of thing came with me. And then I took that on after sort of school, and I'm actually the historian for Portadown Football Club as well.
Oh, right. I didn't know that. Yeah.
So it's the two passions. It's the football and it's the pipe bands. And with both, I think that's where the collecting came in, because I was also the program editor for Portadown Football Club. And collecting the programs, that's sort of, I already was collecting the pipe band programs as well. So basically, since I started back in the 1970s, every competition I went to, that was the first stop. Go and get a program.
Yeah, that's it. And it gets
before anything else, get the program. Yeah, absolutely. And don't stick it in the pocket, take it away, put it in the car, keep it good. That was sort of thing. So
every time I buy a program now, I have to buy two of them because I always scribble over one of them with the results and stuff. Do you not do that to your own programs? No,
I did at the start. When I first was doing it, I would write all over them. But now, as you say, I keep them clean and tidy. A lot of them I sort of clip out the newspaper cuttings and put the results into them, sort of things they got there, so that there's no writing on them. So
there you go. So you have a pristine collection and also ones that are scribbled over as well and well used. Yeah.
Bit of both. It does no harm.
No, that's it. And sometimes I've used programs, I'll hold my hands up, I've used them to keep the rain off sometimes. You know, you're
Has to be done, especially in this country, so yeah.
That's it. But no, definitely, like in your collection, Trevor, there's been some that are dating back decades. And like a lot of the bands listed are all really recognizable, but a lot of them sadly aren't in competition anymore. I think that's one of the things I'm getting from your collection, that it's worthy to capture all of this stuff. Yeah.
I think when you look at it, and even if you go back, even just as far as the sort of 80s, and you look at every grade, and you had 20 bands in every grade.
Yeah.
I don't know maybe where they're splitting it up to 4A, 4B, 3B, you know, that sort of thing has maybe diluted the whole thing a wee bit. But back when you had grade 4 and grade 3, 20 bands, 25 bands, maybe 30 bands sometimes. Yeah. And as you say, a lot of those bands are gone. They're no longer with us. And it's important to sort of try and keep that sort of history of those bands alive as well. Because they all played their part in making the association what it is.
100%, yeah. And a lot of these iconic bands that were in that circle, sadly no longer there, but definitely played a role in bringing our scene to where it is today. Yeah. Do you ever find, like, you've been posting a lot of your collection and stuff like that online now on social media. Have you found the reaction to it where people going, oh God, I remember that band, or I knew someone that played in that band? It seems to be a serious amount of interaction from people.
Absolutely. Every single post that goes up, whether they actually post on the post or whether they sent me a private message, it's, I remember that band, I played in that band, you know, there's always memories coming through there. And probably the other end of things too, I get a lot of messages saying, can you tell me what our medley was in the 1974 World Championships and things like that there? Who won that competition and all things like that there. And I'm absolutely delighted to try and help, you know, and provide that information if I have it. So.
Yeah, see, this is where we're going to get really nerdy now. I was going to ask you, do you have like a bank of results and like a, you know, I'm not going to say a huge spreadsheet or database, but you're bound to be able to look back and check results from contests and stuff.
I think that one of the things I did was try and sort of get a database of all the major winners since the war, and try and have that pulled together. Obviously, there's a few websites there too you can go to that have sort of the lists of the winners and things like that there. Although I have to say a lot of them are not always accurate. You find there'll be a mistake there. But what I tend to do is I have a subscription to the newspaper archive. Would use that so I can go back and look. If somebody says to me, like, who won such and such in 1962, you can chop into the newspaper for that area and see, oh, it was such and such won that. So,
right. So that's where I was going to ask, where do you start with all of that? So, it's the newspapers then that publish it locally, and you can go back and check.
Yes, getting the newspapers, checking out all that sort of thing there. Because even obviously the association's new website, that doesn't really go back that far in terms of results now. So, so it's important to try and keep that sort of accurate as well. So.
That's it too. And don't even get me talking about results and compilers and all that stuff. We've talked all about that in the show before. But yeah, the website itself only does go back so far. And that's how I was wondering that you were able to go back to like the 50s, 60s, 70s and get results from that. So it's newspapers. That's interesting.
It's newspapers, yeah. Absolutely.
There you go.
One of the things I did with the new association's website was I provided a lot of the program covers for them. If you go onto the new RSPBA website, there's a gallery of old program covers right way back too. So
some of those are fascinating too.
You know? Absolutely.
And can I ask you about the magazines? I didn't realize there was half of the magazines there was. There was Pipe and Times. There's the Pipe Band, as it's called. There's so many of them. Yeah.
You had Pipe and World, International Piper.
Yeah.
You know, so many. The Voice. You know,
the Voice from Yusbaba. Yeah.
Piper and Drummer. Yeah.
Piper Drummer. Have you got full collections of all of these, Trevor?
I wouldn't say full collections. I've been collecting most of them probably since the 1980s. So any new one that came out, I started taking a subscription to it and then stuck them in a cupboard. So they're all about somewhere, like so.
There you go. Do you know, you published one, I think, was the Pipe Band magazine, I think, and it was an interview with Chris McNichol.
Yes.
From the National Youth Band, and I was reading through all of that. He was very young when that was done, and like it's great to look back at all this stuff. You know, this old stuff from Stephen McWhirter from back in the day when he was first starting to win the World Championships. all of this stuff is fascinating to look back. Do you ever hear from the actual people themselves? You know, when you publish those articles again and then read back at it, do they ever
Yes,
cringe,
I have been getting a few comments from some of the guys, and
yeah,
it's a sort of saying thank you very much for this. You know, I even forgot about a lot of that myself. Like, I think I posted one recently there of Stuart Little, and made a reference to the piano tuning.
That's right.
He was a piano tuner, so there's all these wee things out there, the wee quirky bits. You know, I like to find the wee quirky bits as well. So.
Yeah, that's it. No, for sure. I love all that too. And I'm getting very nerdy, but there's one particular bit that I kind of went down the rabbit hole with, and that was, I don't know where you got this from, but it was the judges' remarks from the 35th, I've written this down, the 35th annual Championship of Ireland contest. So it was basically the All-Irelands as it was back then. And that was in 1952. And it was a copy of the judges' sheets.
Yeah, I've quite a lot of those. What they did was about a month. That was the Northern Ireland Bands Association, which had a competition every November, and obviously there was the pipe band section in it. So what they did, probably about a month later, they brought out a wee booklet with all the judges' remarks in it. Mm-hmm. So I have quite a lot of those. I think I have one from the 1930s. I think which Tully Lagan won it.
Oh, really? There you go.
So I think a lot of the boys in Tullylagan, I love to see it. I think I had the judges' remarks from it too. So yeah, it's great. It's a lot of wee things that you don't get on judges' sheets nowadays. A lot of wee things like try and do this and try and do that sort of thing.
That's what I've noticed. They were
rather
giving bands pointers.
That's wrong. Yeah.
And then every one of them had, discussions about introductions, intonation problems, and stuff that we're still talking about today. It's still happening.
Yeah. Junior drums and things like that there, and they'll help you. Yeah.
But the judges, let's say this, they weren't subtle about it. They were quite pointed.
Definitely not. Yeah. They certainly were.
They weren't saying,
maybe
they did try doing this.
Yeah, they did tend to bring quite a lot of the top judges over for that. So it was quite a lot of the top men from Scotland come over to judge it. So as you say, they were sort of judging you on the standard that they were used to hearing.
Yeah, that's it. So we're very sharp with the pen in some cases.
Absolutely.
March, not good enough. I think I remember reading somewhere. Just not good enough. There you go. So, yeah, if you are interested, go and have a look at some of those judges' remarks. They're fascinating to read through. And I'll be interested to see that one back from the 20s. That'd be interesting. Yeah. There you go. So I have to ask then as well, as much as your research, I'm sure you're aware of the folks at the Pipe Band Museum. Have you seen much of the stuff that they have in their collection?
I have indeed, absolutely. I think I understand today. I think it's 3 years or 2 years or 3 years. He's on the go today. So
yeah, that's right. The point of us recording is I think they celebrated a birthday. Yeah. So have you ever been to the Pipe Band Museum?
I haven't. No. Obviously, I've provided a lot of info there too for them on sort of wee things, and it's good to have all that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there you go. I think me and you are both going to have to get over there and go and have a look around.
Definitely.
It'll be a fascinating place.
So
shout out to the Pipe Band Museum. Although you have your own going in the house at the minute, Trevor. Yeah. So
that's what Simon was saying to me, sort of, you not do your own one. I said, well, they're all sort of stuck in boxes and cupboards and all sorts of things all over the place. Just get a room, and put them into it. So
there you go. Yeah, I'm just going to plant that wee acorn then and walk away. So I do have some of my own pipe band collection. I think one of my pride and joy that I have is the 70th Fraser Highlanders live in Ireland. I have the double LP. Love that thing. It's up on my shelf. It's fantastic. I love looking at it. But is there any part of your collection that you have sitting out and you really love looking at yourself?
I don't tend to keep things sitting around. As I say, they're all sort of tucked away in cupboards and things they got there.
Right.
But the LP collection is one, basically two, that I started back in the 70s. Mm-hmm. So virtually every LP that came out, I was buying it, right back to I think the first one I ever bought was the Glasgow Police. Back in the days of Alec Connell and those sort of rapid singles and all that sort of stuff. All the old Dysart and Dundonald as they come out, and all those right through the years, right up until they stopped making the LPs, and then it changed to CDs, and then CDs took over.
Yeah.
But in terms of the LPs, you got loads of information on the back of those back in the day.
Yeah.
A lot of histories of the band too, and sort of even giving you the lineups of the band, telling you who was playing and all that sort of thing, which is really good as well to have. So
that's it. Like half of the stuff, like I've been listening to that 70th album now for God since I was no age, but I never knew half of the stuff until I got the album and I actually read the insert. Fascinating stuff, and you kind of lose that now especially now with digital downloads and stuff. You don't get any of that now, Trevor.
Absolutely. I remember even before that, they brought an LP out which had all the faces on the cover.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember that one. Well, one of the guys in our band got a copy of that sent over. He brought it down to my house one night. He says, my auntie's just given me this. She says, our nephew plays in this wee band over in Canada. Will you take a listen to it? So nice. I stuck it on, and it blew me away completely. It's the sort of thing that the big crescendo rolls and things, stuff we hadn't heard over here before, really going on at that time. So
yeah,
he says, "I want a wee band in Canada. See what you think of them." So
a wee band,
a wee band, yeah.
There you go. Well, at the moment, one of the big collections that I'm working on, I think I've talked about it on the show before. I'm working on my World Pipe Band collection, and specifically the CDs. And I don't know if you probably already have the full set, but I don't know if you've ever been in the market of trying to find the World Championships online or even from collectors. It seems to be quite a competitive market out there at the moment for pipe band collectors. Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy prices when you look at them.
Yeah.
I think what puts a lot of people off too is a lot of them going on sale from America, and the postage costs are just astronomical to bring them over here. So anybody that was trying to find them, you really have to shop around for them.
That's it. No, I was using eBay for a while until I seen the World's qualifying. I think it was 2002 or 2004, one of the two. But it was priced at like £100 for a CD. And I thought, nah, wise up. Nope, no chance. But I know there's folks out there that will absolutely pay that for their collection, though. That's the thing.
That's the thing about it. I have, I think it's 1977. I think it was the first Worlds recording that the BBC brought out. So obviously it's on LP, but there's some good stuff on it too.
My earliest one is 1980 with Polkamet and Dizer and all those guys. So that was early, and I thought I was doing well. But you've even earlier than that. There you go.
I think it's I can remember it's like a red tartan cover on it from 77. So,
yeah, there you go. I don't know. So we're getting very nerdy right now with all of this, but I have to talk about your work in the present day, Trevor, because obviously you're part of Pipe Band Results on Facebook, I believe, and you've been really quite great at getting the results out quickly. Have you any secret to that? Have you got any contacts at the games and things, or how do you do that?
Not really. Just looking on Facebook, knowing what sort of competitions are coming up and looking out for the results as they come in. So, and getting them down there. And as you say, that's another thing that gets a lot of response from people sort of wanting to know the result. Can you tell me the results from this competition? Can you tell me the results from that? So as you say, try and get them up there as quick as I can. And it's actually Vicky Singer that runs the site. So
I see. Yes, shout out to Vicky.
Runs it. Yeah. So.
It honestly is a fantastic service. There's been times that we have been unable to live stream results, and we just can't get them out there. I think Dumbarton and other majors, we just can't get them online. But luckily enough, we've been able to kind of pipe on results, and you guys have them there, which is brilliant. So Vicky told us a story once. I don't think it actually made it to air, but she did tell us that she was on the phone with someone and shouting the results down the phone, who came first, second, third. And then someone was typing them up online.
Yeah.
So you do what you can, I guess, in the modern day. Yeah. But it also does serve as a bit of an archive now, doesn't it? You can go back and search through it now. Yeah.
That's the thing, as a lot of people start, particularly when it's results from the likes of Australia and New Zealand, and they're ahead of us in time. So obviously we're going to get the results pretty quickly for ourselves and get them out there. So.
That's it. How challenging is it for you to find results from international competitions? For us on Rab Show, it's been impossible. But we've been using your service to try and find them. Yeah.
Yes, it's basically just looking ahead, see what competitions are coming up, and then sort of when the competition's over, sort of start scrolling through and see, right, when's the results coming up here? So
start searching
and get them out there. Yep.
There you go. So if anyone does have results from a contest and you haven't seen it published anywhere, do give Pipe Band results on Facebook a bit of a shout, because I'm sure they'd love to have any help. Yeah, I guess.
Absolutely.
So, Trevor, I have to say, if anyone is interested in seeing a lot of your content and your collection and stuff, they can go and check you out on social media, I'm sure. Yeah. Are you contactable for any questions in that as well?
Absolutely. The most of it's all there on Facebook. Quite a lot of the comments are put on the actual post, but I do get a load of people messaging privately, saying, "Look, I played in this band and that band. Thank you for the photographs. Thank you for the information. Can you tell me what medley we played? You in the 1974 Worlds? You know, who was our pipe major? Who won the competition?" You get loads of that. So all too willing to sort of just provide any sort of information I got at all. I was actually thinking today. I remember a comment on the front of one of the piping magazines. It said, "Share your knowledge when you can. Don't take it with you." So I thought, well, that's a very good model to be using. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I know for folks listening right now, they're probably thinking about, their own piping history and stuff, and bands that are no longer in competition and stuff. And the wealth of your collection, Trevor, like you have bands that have long gone. And yeah, you have photographs of all the members. Even in some cases, there's little clips and stuff I've noticed on YouTube and stuff. There's like videos now seeing the light of day, things like that. So for anyone interested, do go and check out Trevor Clydesdale on social media and let the conversation begin, because that's what happens in our house. You published a photo of McNeilstown Band and we're still talking about it today. From years ago, do you find that in your own house as well? You find something, you go, and then you're on chatting about it for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, things that you actually had forgotten about. And then just something, whether it's a program, whatever it is, just sort of clicks in the memory again and off you go. Down another rabbit hole where you go. So.
Yeah, do you remember where we were that day? I was lashing with rain and all that. Yep.
Yeah, we're just talking at the weekend there about, I'd posted some stuff about the Worlds in Lanark in 1978. Yes. And bands tuning up in the cattle sheds and everything. I think we had sort of had a stroke of luck that day, got a school, and the janitor was about to close it up, so give him a few pounds, and he kept the school open for us to get tuned up in. So
that's the way to do it. There you go. I think there was one photograph, of the Carroll Games when it was totally washed out, and I think everybody was in the stands. Did you publish that one?
I think I was 85, yeah.
That was fascinating. I'd never heard about that, but apparently it was a thing, and everyone told me, yet the weather was so bad, every band and spectator had to go to the stands, and they just announced the results. That's fascinating. I never knew about that.
That's where I took a few of those photographs from, up in the stand. So I got in behind where the prizes were being given out and got the photos as they were being given out. So
nice. See, it's stories like that if they aren't caught at the time, they're lost, and you'll never hear about things like that. So Trevor, keep up the amazing work. It's been fascinating checking out all of your collection, and keep her lit, as they say in Northern Ireland. Yeah.
Absolutely. I say if anybody has any photographs or anything else they want me to put out there, certainly just send it to me and I'll make sure it gets out there.
Oh, thanks a million, Trevor. Well, thanks for appearing on the show. And for any listeners that do want to get in contact, you can either email ourselves here or you can contact Trevor direct on his social media. There you are. Trevor, thanks a million, man. I'll let you go. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Rob. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
All the best now.
There you are. A huge shout out to Trevor Clydesdale. Thanks so much for joining us on the show this week. A fascinating conversation that only really scratched the surface. Now, I was being very careful because I could have went down so many different rabbit holes there. That's one of the problems. Trevor, as I say, is a good mate of the show, and I would honestly spend a long time talking to Trevor about all things pipe band history. We could have talked about all of the bands that are sadly not in the circle anymore. We could have talked about, pipe band associations and how historically all of their competitions have ran in the past, and even our own here in the UK. And I don't know. We could have went down so many different rabbit holes, but I've done my best to control the conversation and just to kind of give you a bit of a reflection for those out there who may be collecting pipe band memorabilia. Now, what you're actually doing is, in a way, preserving the history of our bagpiping world. That's definitely what Trevor has been doing. pretty much for all of his pipe band career. Such a fascinating conversation, and there's nothing that man doesn't know about pipe band history. And if he doesn't know it, he certainly knows where to go to find the answers. Yeah. So if you are anyway curious and you do have any questions for Trevor, you can email them into us, bigrabshow@gmail.com, as we just mentioned. And we'll forward them on to Trevor, and he'll do his best to get you that info. Who won the County Down Championships in 1937, and etc. He's the man that'll know. There you go. There you are. So that's it for another topic of the week. Another podcast is in the can. Thank you, everyone, for downloading this week and each and every week. And again, don't forget to tell your mates about our wee show, about what we're doing over here, blethering away every week about what we know and love to be the music of the Great Highland Bagpipe and its people. And again, a huge shout out to our Patreon faithful. We've seen a considerable bump in numbers over there. Again, I think it's because of our new features that we have, our documentary. Well, there's 2 episodes available now, Rab Show Plus, and not forgetting the postscript. Yeah, that's quite an interesting feature as well. So go and check all of that stuff out on Patreon, exclusive for our Patreon members. And we're out the door. And we'll be back again next week with another topic and all that stuff and catching up on all things happening in the bagpiping world. So until next week's show, we'll see you all then. All the best.
Well, that's it for another Big Rab Show podcast. Thanks so much for downloading this week, and a special thank you to our sponsor, G1 Reeds. Played by bands around the world, they are the champion's choice. Check out g1reeds.com for all of your piping needs. Don't forget to check out thebigrabshow.com to be kept up to date with all of the latest news and views from around the piping world. And also, check us out on Patreon. For $5 a month, you can get your hands on tons of extra piping goodness and be a part of the Patreon faithful. So, until next week, folks, we'll see you right here on the Big Rab Show Podcast. All the best.